All right. We are live microdosing Dave Portnoy's weak little hands. I can't carry this. It's too heavy. Oh.
What's wrong with Dave Portnoy? I tell you what's wrong with Dave Portnoy. He was easy come, easy go. He got into day trading during lockdown, and the depth of his analysis was, oh, stocks go up. That was it. He doesn't. He's a newcomer. He's a tourist. He doesn't really know the stock market at all, and he happened to catch a wave for a few months, and then suddenly reality hits in two ways. Number one, he was bounced out of his Bitcoin position because he never took the time to understand what Bitcoin was about. The Winklevoss twins kind of steamrolled him into buying some other shitcoins as well. So that was a mistake. That was a bad idea. And then along comes Wall Street Bets, and the scales are lifted from his eyes. We see the little man behind the curtain. The markets are rigged. And people who make money in markets go into it knowing it's rigged, and they try to navigate through and around how they are rigged. And it's an art. It's a science. It takes a long time to master. So he got slammed. He took a big loss on what he calls meme stocks. And but that's the state of affairs. Meanwhile, Michael Saylor is doing his conference call right now.
Yeah. And like we have such strong hands that we stick with our microdose hour, regardless of whether Giga Chad Michael Saylor is on another live stream over there.
Yeah.
We're like, we're not going to have little weak microdosing hands. We're not going to like, oh, we can't compete with Michael Saylor, so we're just not going to do it. No, what we did is we came here for the people.
No, he's got 1,700 people on the YouTube live stream, and I'm sure we'll exceed that. So we're taking audience away from Michael Saylor. It's the complete opposite. He should worry about this streaming podcast, not the other way around. Now, having said that, he had a guest on earlier from NIDEG, and made a great point about settlement with Bitcoin. This totally kills the whole Bitcoin Cash argument dead. Bitcoin Cash saying, oh, you need a Bitcoin to pay for your coffee, and Bitcoin is constrained in terms of the transactions. But the point being made was that if you look at it in terms of final settlement, Bitcoin is the fastest, because even when you go to your Visa card to pay for a cup of coffee, the transaction occurs, but it takes days for it to settle, days. And in some cases, doing a lot of wire transfers, et cetera, can take weeks. Now with Bitcoin, you have final settlement with the bearer asset, all done, confirmed multiple times within an hour. So that's puts Bitcoin Cash dead. The other hard forks dead. This whole idea of there being any reason for any of these altcoins is dead. It's just complete foolishness. And they're like Wall Street Bets. People move in, they move out. They had a couple of quick bucks here, a couple of quick. That's not investing, folks. That's called gambling. Right? There's a whole city dedicated to it. It's called Las Vegas. You can gamble and you can get laid, right? The problem with Wall Street Bets is that they're in their basement gambling and they're not getting laid. As this guy said on TV this past week, these kids need to go out and meet girls and get laid. That was right there on Fox News. You're not going to find that at Wall Street Bets. You can find it in Vegas. How are you going to have the money to blow in Vegas? By holding Bitcoin. You hodl Bitcoin long enough, you'll be rich enough to go to Vegas to lose a lot of money gambling and get laid.
Well, make sure you smash that like button. Okay, come on, smash that like, for our strong hands. Like us for our strong hands, for staying committed to this 2 p.m. Eastern time microdosing hour, despite the whole Giga Chad conference happening on another stream. Like, we deserve some thumbs up for that, sure. And yeah, Dave Portnoy's weekends. So he sold out. I guess he also bought back. So he sold all his holdings in GME, and I think he had some of the other ones like Nokia and AMC and stuff. And he said he was down $700,000. He bought at the top and sold at the bottom. And then I saw that he apparently bought $700,000 worth of Nokia back. I think he was getting grief, from people online. And that's one thing, of course, that happens is here he was a day trader dude going through his own personal journey of like, hey, I'm kicking ass, I'm beating Wall Street, day trading is easy, and yeah, I'm gonna join this Wall Street bets crusade against Wall Street and their illegal short sales, and I'm gonna jump on there. And, he probably feels like just one of the guys, right? But as soon as he sold out, like because he panic sold, he got a lot of grief of like, you made me buy this, and now you still have $1 million of your dollars left. You put 2 million in, lost 700,000. You know, F you. And so I think he feels guilty, and now he's gone back in.
Right. He's trying to appease the mob.
Yeah.
And appeasing the mob, you end up trying to appease a crocodile. I believe Winston Churchill said something to that effect. You can never appease a crocodile.
Huh.
And, he's a social media star. He's not a money manager. And when you mix the two, the mob starts telling you what to do. Now you're going to double your losses. You're going to quadruple your losses. You've got your one foot into the spin cycle of a money laundering machine called Wall Street, and they're ripping it off. Right? I mean, he blames Robinhood. You signed the terms of service agreement when you signed up to Robinhood. When you open a Robinhood account, it says right there in black and white that we can destroy you anytime we want to, and you can't do anything about it. There's no recourse, right?
Yeah.
It says it right there.
He said that, but Cash App also explained what happened for them, because Cash App also, you were not able to go long. You're still not able to go long GameStop. You're still not able to go long Nokia. And they said it's that they themselves as a company, Square, is against this decision, but they have their hands are tied because they themselves are not the prime broker. So they said they got cut off from their own dealer, so that they don't have the GameStop. So that's the thing that Max and I, as veterans, of course, of these activist wars and campaigns, is they get to change the rules, right? So this is what they did. They forced Cash App, they forced TD Ameritrade, they forced Robinhood, they forced Schwab. They got pulled from, if they don't have any of the prime brokers to give them the shares, then it's over. And that's how they intervened, right, to rescue these naked short sellers.
Yeah, they needed to be rescued.
Yeah.
So they changed the laws to rescue their buddies. They did it during long-term capital management. They changed the laws to rescue their friends on Wall Street. They did it during the subprime global financial crisis of 2008. Laws were changed. Laws were hastily written to save your friends on Wall Street. And we see it right now with the Robinhood Wall Street bet scandal. The laws are changed. The silver short campaign, the second it looked like there was gaining some traction, they raised margin requirements. And the price is set in advance. The price is set many weeks before it actually hits the tape. We know what the price will be based on the support for the dollar. The dollar is world reserve currency, and you can't have gold and silver challenge the dollar. Bitcoin is, as Christine Lagarde said, it's an escape hatch. It's the escape route. And, I got a request, will you come on Wall Street Bets AMA?
Do an AMA on their Telegram.
Do an AMA on the Wall Street Bets Telegram group. No, because I only have one answer: buy Bitcoin. It doesn't matter what the question is. The answer is exactly the same: buy Bitcoin. You can ask me 1,000 different questions and I'll give you one answer. It's the same answer and it's the only answer: buy Bitcoin. And I'll have 1,000 different people tell me why that's not a great idea. And all those 1,000 people will be wrong. So, I don't need to go there. That's it. I just did it.
Right. And of course, as soon as that whole hashtag silver squeeze started, what did they do? They intervened. Of course, you saw statements from Janet Yellen and from the SEC saying they're going to look at the integrity of these markets and make sure that all investors are protected, which they mean, by that, they mean they're friends, of course. And as soon as, and I have to say, the actual physical sales of silver bullion, 1 ounce coins, 10 ounce bars, 100 ounce bars, off the shelf, right? They did the largest online retail bullion dealers, the largest ones, all sold out. JD Bullion was on CNBC, I think it was, and he's saying they've only been around for 11 years. He said they've never seen anything like that. They did 12 times their normal weekend sales.
Doesn't matter.
At APMX, they also did like many times. They're the largest and been around for 20 years. And so even beyond that campaign of 2010 of Crash JP Morgan Buy Silver, these guys said they've never done so much volume. And despite that, they came in with raising margin requirements straight away. Because some of these guys on Wall Street Bets are obviously, former brokers or current brokers or hedge fund managers or something. They know some of their trading deals, and they were targeting that SI silver contract on the COMEX. So that's where they got shut down. It doesn't matter what the retail person, the guy with a little bit of money, the less sophisticated guy is going to go to the and buy the silver ounce. But
Right.
they shut down the COMEX short people.
Yeah. Well, it
Trying to
doesn't
target
matter
that.
if all the silver and all the dealers in all the world are gone. That's not where the price is set. The price is set in the paper market. Right now, we know the physical price is a lot higher than the paper market. But in this market, they don't quote the physical market. They quote the paper market. That's when you see the price of silver, and that's what is the price used to settle contracts for everything in the commodity index and commodity related and everything contingently related. They use the paper price. And the paper price is whatever it has nothing to do with supply and demand. It's whatever the price they feel comfortable with relative to the dollar, and that's it. So that's the fact, Jack. I mean, so you're not. I think price of silver will crawl higher. Over this year, next year it'll crawl higher, but it's not going to be anywhere near like Bitcoin. Bitcoin's going to blow silver out of the water and blow gold out of the water. They'll crawl higher, sure, but why bother?
Well, because there is a commodities bull market back on, and the Fed, they do try to manage the system, and they know that they can't. They To do that, they can't totally suppress it, right? You need some of the energy and the volume of the money being created to go somewhere. They don't mind the disorderly rise in stock prices or the chaotic rise in property prices. They don't mind that because the population loves it and they feel good when property prices are going up 13% a year, which of course is a horrible thing for anybody under 30 or 35. That leaves them outside homeless essentially. But with the perception management, that's the whole job of the Fed. They don't know what they're doing, right? They don't know anything academically or economically more than the collective people participating in the economy. They're not any smarter, but they do have a position, a bullet, they have the media all focused on them to transmit their message across America about what their perception of the markets should be. And the commodities markets in particular, but precious metals especially so, they try to manage perception of their job and their role in the economy.
Right. They have to preserve the dollar. The dollar's been rallying. Why? There's no reason for the dollar to rally. It's artificially pumped up. The dollar's experiencing a pump and dump scam right now because they fear that people are looking at silver and gold again too closely. So they pump up the dollar to scare people away. And sure, the dollar is fundamentally not worth anything. But silver and gold will creep higher. But the way to escape all the rigging of the markets, and this is where Dave Portnoy could have done a service to everybody by spending a couple of days at least looking at Bitcoin and understanding Bitcoin. And then he would be able to accurately and knowledgeably talk about Bitcoin. But instead, he just treated it like another, number on the screen that goes up, goes down. He has no idea, blah, 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 a roulette wheel,
He'll
and
find his
missed an
way.
opportunity.
He'll find his way eventually. He's got little weak hands.
That's it.
This is Dave Portnoy. He's like, Scarlett O'Hara. It's like, oh, I do declare I need some big strong hands to take care of me.
He's
And
got like balsa wood hands. They're like just crumble, just like fall apart. Nothing.
yeah, so Dave Portnoy, but somebody, Friar Haas tweeted, Portnoy may indeed be the first person to lose money on both Bitcoin and GameStop.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's really tragic. That's what happens when you don't really become to stumble something into blindly. At first it looks great, and then you get taken to the cleaners because the pros see you coming.
Sorry, the internet connection went off. But we're here. I see you see us there again. So, sorry for that. The internet connection went off. I was trying to fix it before it went out, but here we are back here with microdosing, Dave Portnoy's, very, very weak hands. I guess in honor of former President Donald Trump, we'll call it very, very weak hands. He's got very, very weak hands.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Apparently, he can't even hold on to a straw to like sip a soda. That's just like it's just nothing, air.
So there's actually a new word for the Urban Dictionary. To have a Portnoy is to have a weak hand.
Right. I mean, it's too bad, but predictable. It's very predictable to see people stumble into this area, well, surrounded by sharks. And, it's not Robin Hood's fault. It's Dave Portnoy's fault because Robin
Yes.
Hood is doing exactly what Robin Hood said they would do. It's right there in their terms of service. And it's not hard to find. And this is what happened predictably. And Robin Hood is going to go public and they're going to make a lot of money. And then they're never be penalized. And they're 40% of the revenue comes from Citadel, and Citadel gets free money from the Fed. They got bailed out last year. Then they bailed out Melvin Capital. It's a layer cake of fraud. And the layers are 30, 40, 50 layers deep. All these fraudulent people working in concert. It's called racketeering. The only way to go after it is through RICO, the RICO laws. And Rudolph Giuliani applied that once to Wall Street to great effect.
Before he went crazy.
Before he went crazy. I think Elliot Spitzer was also going after some folks at one point that he went crazy. And again, Elliot Spitzer, Vegas is there for a reason. You don't need to screw up your life and your career. There's Vegas. And here we are, and somebody else is now going down the same path.
Yeah, these are tough lessons. Pierre Rochard himself even learned a tough lesson. I'm surprised at this because, he's the guy who started the campaign to get everybody to sell their chairs in order to keep on buying Bitcoin. But he was persuaded probably by the likes of Dave Portnoy, who was like messianic with his belief in his abilities to control these markets because he had, just like everybody else in the world, by the way, he had a 10 months like run on the markets of seemingly it's like it's all great. Max himself has talked about that when he first joined Wall Street in 1982, 83, and it was the end of a 16-year bear market. So everybody around him, all the older guys were all like depressed and down. And then all these young kids come in just at the start of that Ronald Reagan driven, boom bull market. Also because of Paul Volcker basically raising interest rates and making a strong dollar. And then bond prices have been going down since 1980, right? So a number of events came, and it had nothing to do with Max. It had nothing to do with his cohorts, but it felt like it, right?
Right, because we had never known a down market. I mean, since the day I walked on Wall Street, it just went straight up from 1982 to 1987. And of course, he had the big crash of 87. But so that's 5 straight years where every single day you walk in the office and there's just piles of money waiting for you there. And that every day for year after year after year. And we believed that it was our doing. We took credit for it. And that's normal. People take that as something. Same thing with the dot-com in Los Angeles during the dot-com mania of the late 1990s. I remember I was running a dot-com and my employees were 10, 15 years younger than I was. And they were all full of themselves. Like, we created this and it's never going to fall apart. And it's, we're the kings of the mountain. And I looked at that and I'm like, whoa, I've seen this before. Sure enough, yeah, the dot-com crash shortly thereafter.
Right. And that's basically Bitcoin derangement syndrome as well. So a lot of people involved in the early days of Bitcoin, they basically went crazy because they thought like, hey, I got this at $1 or $5 or $10 and now it's worth $30,000. It's because of me. I am mighty. I control the money supply or whatever, like Roger Ver trying to do.
Right. Bitcoin Jesus, Roger Ver, right? So he still is delusional in this regard. And after today's presentation by MicroStrategy, I think we can wipe all the delusions away. There's no such use case for Bitcoin Cash. How it stays above zero. It'll be zero soon enough.
Right. Here's an interesting headline, and I'd like how's our audio volume, by the way? I see a lot of people chatting there. And I see 304 likes. I think we need some more smash likes. Okay. Okay, this is from Mrs. Robinson. I like.
What's the streams? How many streams?
We have 858 watching now.
All right. Well, you have to beat Michael Saylor's stream. Let's
Well,
go
you
over
gotta go
that.
tweet it out, honey.
Let me see what
You gotta go tweet it out.
Okay. Let me take care of this.
Because Max basically does his little, that go-go dance that Rick Stoner has you doing.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that's Max Kaiser nonstop on Twitter. That's your Twitter. Like, that's how I think of you on Twitter.
Oh,
like that.
Yeah. I'm always like going.
It's always dancing and stuff like that.
I got my Michael Saylor shirt on. The Giga Chad.
So he's gonna watch Michael Saylor
Here he is.
instead
He's talking now.
of participating here.
We got 1.4 thousand viewers on the YouTube for Michael Saylor. We need to get it above that
But you're
to show him who's the king. Who's the king of this? Who's the real king?
But you have to tweet it out. So you have to go to your Twitter handle. You can get our URL by going into our Telegram group.
Yeah.
Copying and pasting it.
Oh, I have to copy and paste?
And put it in your Twitter, okay? Sometimes I, have to walk Max through every single interface of his experience with this world outside his matrix.
Yeah.
That was like, I got...
It says we're live right now.
Hit it, and now share it to your Twitter. Oh my God,
That's
Max.
me talking.
Oh my
God.
God.
This is amazing.
Never go...
people can hear me?
Oh my God.
Let's see. Share.
Yes.
Copy link.
Oh my God.
Right,
oh my
let's
God.
Go to my Telegram group. Almost
you
20.
You already have it. Like, there's about 35 links in the Telegram group.
Look, I just had to open it up.
Okay, do it again.
I already had to do what?
Share it in there again. Do that, but we need you on Twitter, because on Twitter you have 280,000 followers.
On Twitter, all right.
Telegram, I've already seen people like link to it there about 30, 45 times.
Here we go.
But
Now I'm on Twitter.
Yet nobody has been to Max Kaiser's Twitter account to tweet from there. That is a totally unique thing. But let me see. Any more comments? Stacy and Max are the original OGs. Michael Saylor probably calls Max and Stacy every night for advice.
Definitely. Every night at the same time. It's always Michael Saylor on the phone. Jesus!
You think he has weak hands? Hey, Max and Stacy. I mean, that's the thing about Bitcoin, is like, you don't need any advice. It's just stack those freaking sats. In fact, I might go to swanbitcoin.com and /orange pill and go buy some while Max tweets a link to this. He's not.
I'm writing a bit of a novel.
He's not exactly the fastest guy in the book, because I have a good headline I want to discuss, but I need more people to hit like before I tell you this headline, because it fits in with Dave Portnoy's weak hands. I think ultimately, if you think about it, it might take you a step or two to get to that point where you could connect these two headlines. But for me, they connect in my head. How is the audio, by the way? Everybody happy with the audio? Bitcoin is a roller coaster. Dave Portnoy is 5'3". Is he really only 5'3"?
Right. That makes sense.
I mean,
he's a frustrated athlete, right? He could never, he's too short to be an athlete. So he becomes Dave Portnoy and talks about athletics. And then he goes into quarantine and he gets wrecked on day trading shit stocks. But other than that, he's a nice guy. I mean, sincerely, though, I should also say that he was out there raising money for small business. He raised like tens of millions of dollars, I believe. And that, I got to hand it to him. That was really, I'm just being a bit of a dick here. Dave.
We're just trying to get him to talk about us.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. We're trying to troll Dave to talk about us. Let's face it. He's got millions and millions and millions of viewers. That's the bottom line, isn't it? But so, yeah, he's a decent fellow. He does good stuff. But, this shipwreck of day trading, though, is pretty predictable. And the whole thing with the Winklevoss and the Bitcoin was sad. I think even Pomp, pitched him on Bitcoin, and, he failed to get it into his nut. This guy is stubborn.
Yeah, because that's the whole propaganda of the financial markets, is they make it seem like they think they have some sort of control and understanding of like the price earnings ratio and things like that used to matter.
Yeah.
and that this is so that they know what they're buying and that they're going to earn money. Um, Bitcoin is harder, right? It is harder. Like you need strong hands. You can't have these weak little hands. Um, for both up and down, right? Up is just as hard. The parabolic moves up are just as hard to hang on because that the hyper greed is just as strong as hyper panic. You want to like, oh my god, it's oh my god, look, Max, it went to $1,000. Like that's like crazy. I remember when it was only $1. And so these are the things that people go through, the emotional roller coaster. Where's those likes? I like this. So Max, are you ready for me to
Yeah.
read this headline?
Look, I'll tell you how to trade stocks. I mean, I have my 35 years experience. I'll give you the whole strategy in a nutshell.
Give it to us.
It's basically, it comes down to two words: conviction and urgency. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
You have to understand it, and it's different for every individual. But let's take my own stock portfolio. I have incredible conviction in Amazon. But there's not a lot of urgency there because it's already a $1.7 trillion. Earnings are growing nicely. The stock is growing great. There's no urgency to get into Amazon, but I have a high conviction of Amazon, and I sit on it year after year after year. Now let's take another stock like the Amazon of Russia, which goes by the ticker symbol OZON, Ozone. So here, I don't have the high conviction of it because it's a startup. It's only been around, a few years.
Mm-hmm.
It's, they're seemingly doing a great job. They're in Russia and Eastern Europe, and they're expanding, and it's a great, great growth story. So there's a lot of urgency there because if I dilly dally, I'm going to miss the move. I have to act. I have to urgently act. So the urgency is there, but the conviction is not. So what do? I don't take a full position. I take maybe a quarter position in Ozone. I have a full position in Amazon. So now a couple of months later, 6 months later, I look at my Ozone and I check a look, and oh, it's doing great. And the earnings have come out and they are really improving. Now my conviction is rising. So I increase my position. I take a half a position and so forth. Now, if I have a stock that's high urgency, low conviction, and I took a quarter position, and I bought Krispy Kreme donuts a few years ago. Let's going back a number of years, and I had there was urgency, not much conviction. Then they fell out of bed, and I would dump it. But my loss at that point is not big because I only have a quarter position. So then take my loss quickly and look at it again in 6 months. But now that way you are managing your portfolio in a way where you're grabbing the lion's share of the growth. You're keeping the top line high conviction stocks generating above average returns, beating the market essentially. And this is how you manage a portfolio in the easy way. If you want to, you can spend 10 minutes a month and do it this way, right? Or maybe not that, maybe like 10 minutes a week. But without having multiple screens, without having a Bloomberg terminal, without having to be checking every 5 minutes, if you just want to get an outstanding return, this is how you construct a portfolio and you allocate accordingly. And it's all about conviction versus urgency. If you have high conviction, you should own something for 5, 10, 15 years. If your conviction is not high, you need to take a quarter position at most and see how it develops. Don't jump into oh, I'm going to buy a GameStop short squeeze with everything. That's like
yes,
you going into the Vegas and saying I'm putting it all on red at the roulette wheel. Oh, I just lost my treasury. I'm out of the game. I'm done.
Yeah.
Right? That's not how you do it.
No.
So there is a way to do it, that is manageable, the lazy approach. I always take the laziest possible approach. I'd like to work the least amount of time possible.
Right. We have 1,137
All right,
people
we only need
watching.
300 more.
300 more. Some more likes. We need some more likes. By the way, I have my summer clothes on. I wore all linen today because I am super excited to say we've booked some of our, at least part of our journey to Miami for the Bitcoin 2021. So, I had Miami on my mind, and I was feeling really summery, and I felt like I don't care if it's only February. I'm going to make it, in my mind, I'm going to make it like it's summer.
Yeah, that's the way to go. Be the summer you want to be. Endless summer.
Endless summer,
Without stop.
relentless optimism.
Relentless optimism. Endless summer. Be the summer. Live in the summer you want to live in. Be under the coconut tree you want to be living under. Get hit in the head with a coconut the way you want it to be.
You sound like Keith Richards.
Be the Keith Richards you want to be.
Every time I go for a drive, like we have Sirius XM, whatever, in our car.
Yeah.
And there's always on classic radio, they always play this clip of Keith Richards talking about being in like some like South Pacific island, and I went out on the branch, and I don't know, it fell off the branch and I hit my head. I hit me head
in a coconut, and then I snorted my pappy along with my coca.
He said the chicks were making lunch.
The chicks were making lunch. I got hit in the head with a coconut, and it's not easy.
And so now he has a metal plate in his head. But this is news. Like, now think of Dave Portnoy's weekends.
Yeah.
And he's betting against these guys who can not only high frequency trading, algorithmically front run Dave Portnoy's trades, but they could also, like, they're watching his live stream, their algorithm front running his trades, like, because that's the thing he was doing, day trading, right? He was like, hey, I'm about to buy, let's pick a stock symbol, GSV. I don't know what this is, let's just buy it.
Yeah,
and then he was doing that, but of course, like, their algorithm is front running them. But here's the headline for today: scientists have taught spinach to send emails.
What? Did what?
I just think the algorithms, AI, are going to take over the world. Elon Musk was in Clubhouse. I don't know what this Clubhouse is or why people use it, but people use it and people are in there. But I think it's just the algorithm stealing our ideas again and practicing how to speak, because they've got all our written data, like our tweets and our content we've put on websites. But now they want to hear our voice articulate these words. And
for the Legion of AI robots?
Yeah, the Legion of AI robots. Or the monkeys, these monkeys, because apparently Elon Musk says he has some monkey with a brain implant.
So Clubhouse is just a way to get everyone's voice imprint.
Maybe.
Because nobody was falling for the scam of answering your phone anymore. And,
oh my God.
And having that be a scam. So now they invented Clubhouse to get your voice print, to create AI robots. It's like Stepford Wives. Remember Stepford Wives from the movie from the 1970s? These guys decided to kill their wives and replace them with robots. But the way the transition happened was the robot wife had to kill the real wife as the final act of transition. It's a great classic dystopian crazy film of the 70s called The Stepford Wives.
Set in Connecticut, where I was raised. But yeah, what I'm saying is, if spinach can freaking send an email.
Yeah. What's that all about?
Dave Portnoy can hang on to his freaking stocks, right? Like,
if a spinach can send an email, Dave Portnoy can hold on to his stocks.
Right. Like, how weak are his hands? Like, he's weaker than spinach. Like,
the spinach can actually type out an email, and yet Dave can't hold on to his stocks. That's lame. He's weaker than a vegetable.
Like, think of spinach, like, especially cooked spinach, right? It's like all blah. It's like,
there's a recipe called wilted spinach.
Yeah, he's wilted spinach. Dave Portnoy is the wilted spinach. I hope he talks about us and gives us some free press for this, for dissing.
But wait a minute. I mean, what about the spinach sending emails? Because you didn't really elaborate on that.
The rest of the headline is that, and it could warn us about climate change. Like,
well, I don't go to spinach, to get my daily news break. I mean, the New York Times
now for the
sucks,
weather
but it's probably better than spinach.
And now probably we're going to be competing right now. Like, we're talking about, we're competing on a live stream with Michael Saylor, who's doing his GigaChad conference. And this is kind of brave. It shows how strong our hands are committed to this microdose hour. Well, what if we have to start competing with wilted spinach as well? Like, spinach, at first it starts with emailing, and then it's on, like, live streaming on. But what it does, it's like, the nanoparticles inside the spinach, which are supposed to contact scientists to let them know if there's more
I don't
nitrogen.
care if it's nanoparticles or it's wilted spinach. I don't want my spinach emailing me, at any time. I don't want to receive an email
about
from
your-
my spinach in the refrigerator, trying to bust out like, Max, I'm in the fridge. Help me bust out. This is your friend, the spinach. I'm like, look, I don't want to get that email. I don't want my spinach to go to war with my carrots, and to have the milk suddenly get involved and open it up and there's World War III happening right in the icebox. I don't want that.
Plus, you could starve to death. Imagine you're sitting there hoping to eat your dinner, get your nutrients with your steak and some spinach, and like your email is going ding 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 as you're like lifting it up, and you're like, "What's going on? Don't eat me, Max!" And
Yeah, what if I ate the
feel
spinach
guilty.
and I got email from my alimentary canal? It's sending me email from my stomach saying, Max, your stomach is really nice down here. Could you send down some carrots to go with my spinach? I think that'll make a lovely repast.
Now, here's another story to make fun of Dave Portnoy's weekends.
Yeah.
His very weekends. I mean, we can make fun of him because, like,
Why?
this is punching up, right? He's got a big platform. He's worth over $100 million, right? He sold this, That's why I like to go on Twitter and tell Elon Musk in his pre-Bitcoin days. His Bitcoin days started since our last microdose, and I like to tell him to have fun saying poor.
That's right.
Because obviously, first of all, it draws out amusing people who are like, "Don't you know he's the richest man in the world?"
Right.
No.
I didn't know that. My spinach didn't send me my email updates about Elon Musk's becoming the world's richest man because I was subscribing to my carrots. And this carrots didn't get that news. I should have been subscribing to the email from my spinach. I would have been updated accordingly.
But that is always the point of this have fun saying poor is, the people who are like, you shouldn't say this, this is mean. That's them projecting their own stuff, their own feelings about themselves. Because have fun saying poor is a state of mind, right? Because the fact is, if you have one Satoshi, you are not staying poor. You are rich in your thoughts and your idea and your strong hands, unlike Dave Portnoy's weak hands. Well, here's another story along that line.
What?
Okay, a bunch of teachers, right? You think of teachers, you don't think of, you think of all your teachers who were pretty nerdy, right? Teachers aren't like the most 4chan and like groovy of people.
No, my greatest teachers have always been parsnips.
Okay. Okay. But teachers, CalPERS, California Pension Fund, loaded up on riot shares during Bitcoin's Q4 rally. So California's $441 billion public pension fund increased its stake in Bitcoin miner Riot blockchain nearly 7-fold in the fourth quarter.
Right.
So, that's what strong hands look like, Dave.
Yeah,
It's not, the teachers weren't going, oh, CalPERS, get rid of these Riot blockchain shares.
That's
No.
right. They were all the gym teachers. They decided to load up on Riot blockchain because they like the sound of it. Riot!
Yeah.
And all the English teachers were like, well, I don't know. You should have put a comma before that clause because it would have made grammatic sense. But now that you say it that way, and I'll go for it.
Do you play dodgeball still? This is the question I want to know because because we did record so much stuff back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, and I noticed a lot of these woke young kids starting to discover stuff we used to do back in the day and realizing just like things like having no seatbelts in the car. Like,
oh, yeah, yeah.
Max and I survived not having seatbelts when we were little kids. But we used to have dodgeball, and now you look back on it and you think that was pretty violent. Like
dodgeball, yeah.
You just
I told you we had dodgeball in elementary school.
You just have the ball.
There was this great
right.
like sunken grass cavity thing right where the school in the middle of the school. We used to play dodgeball there. It's like an amphitheater.
Yeah.
And then so you pick sides to play dodgeball. You're on my team, I'm on your team. We had a guy named Herbie who, whatever team he was on, they would win the dodgeball.
Oh, really?
Right, because he could whip the ball about 120 miles an hour with pinpoint accuracy. Right, so whatever team Herbie was on, the other team was going to lose.
And that's that kind of weird red rubbery ball.
Yeah. And everyone, Herbie was like the guy everyone would be befriended, right?
Yeah.
It's like, Herbie, how you doing, man? Great to see you today in school. Let's flip some baseball cards later. I'll catch you after the snack time. All right, buddy. And dodgeball, by the way, pick me, okay? Pick me, and when you do the dodgeball. And okay, thanks, Herbie. Right?
Well,
He was a power broker.
he was a power broker, but when I first encountered dodgeball when I had moved from New York City to Connecticut.
Yeah.
And like we didn't play dodgeball in New York City. And then we came to Connecticut and suddenly I'm in this school and playing dodgeball and these kids, but I was the only girl in the playing dodgeball. Like all the girls were playing with dolls or something.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I went outside and played with all these boys. And it hurt. It was like I was like, this sucks.
Just the sting of victory.
But it was this thing. But I had strong hands. I stayed there because I didn't want to, like the only other alternative, right? Because of peer pressure as a child, like either go play with these dolls with these girls or sit out here with Stanley and Jimmy and get this dodgeball like hit me in the face all the time.
Right, right.
And I kept on playing with it. But
yeah, and then you turn pro.
Now in hindsight, I would just go, read a book or something because that would have been better.
Speaking of Connecticut, so I understand that in Connecticut they have a different name for what you call in Connecticut a grinder.
It's grinder,
right? That's kind of a Ponzi name, isn't it?
No, so we have a thing called grinder. Most people call it Subway or Hero.
Yeah.
But in Connecticut they call it grinder.
Yeah.
But it's not as like it's just uniquely in Connecticut. And I think some parts of Rhode Island might also call it grinder. It's believed to come from New London, which is the area where I grew up. My mom, remember, she worked at Pfizer. And New London is where the U.S. Naval base is.
Uh-huh.
And General Dynamics, where they build the nuclear submarines. And there were a lot of Italian ship workers there. So apparently they called this grinder because it was a grinder bread. It was.
They didn't call it a sub, even though there was a sub base there.
It was a sub base, but they
decided to go with grinder.
They
instead.
called it grinder. But where you live in Westchester,
yeah,
it's even just Westchester County and a nearby county are the only two that use wedge.
Yeah, we say wedge. That's the only place in America that uses this word, wedge.
Max and I always argue about this, actually. So you're going to decide this out there because we have 1,400 people watching this.
Yeah.
So who do you think has the dumber name, wedge or grinder?
Or sub, you got to. But I guess one,
Wait, you have to choose between two. There's only two choices. Everybody in the world, the vast majority of people say Subway or Hero. But two freaks of the world, Connecticut and Westchester, say grinder or wedge. Which do you think sounds poncier and dumb?
Well, look, I mean, think about it this way. You go into the deli and
grinder, everybody.
No, well, you're going to order.
Grinder. Well, there's competition here.
Who are you, Joe Biden over there? You're stuffing the ballot box. Okay, now when you say...
of course, everybody thinks it's Grindr, like the gay hookup site.
See, it's got baggage. That name's got baggage. In a wedge, I mean, it's clean. It's
wedge
beautiful.
Sounds like something like the Queen Mom would have with her gin and tonic. Oh, love it.
With the watercress sandwiches.
Yes.
And a wedge of Stilton cheese. And you get a meatball wedge. I mean, okay, that sounds great. Meatball wedge versus I'll have a grinder. I mean, it does sound really, late night 3 a.m. Grinder app in the back alley type stuff. A
meatball grinder.
The meatball grinder. That sounds horrible. That sounds like, some of the worst. Sounds
like something like in the bear section of the Grinder app.
The Grinder app where the bears are.
The Madge Weinstein.
They do the grinder wedge, meatball grinders. Okay, now already, who would want that for lunch?
Cheese grinder.
That's not a great lunch. Meanwhile, you order a meatball wedge. Okay, that sounds good. Meatball wedge. Give me a ham and cheese wedge. Right. Am I right?
Somebody says Dave Portnoy is on Grindr.
No.
Sun your meatballs.
You need to get sun on your meatballs, Dave.
Somebody says...
Get off Grindr and get more sun on your meatballs, and here, have a meatball wedge.
I miss the original Ritz-Carlton in Boston.
Okay, buddy, you're in the wrong group. Okay, you wandered in, you stumbled into the wrong bar. Go back outside and walk down the street and head into O'Malley's. Okay, this is not where you think it is. You're in the wrong place.
Or it could be some sort of like, there's a lot of gay phrases, secret code words from the days when it used to be illegal. So,
Right.
like in London, do you change at Baker Street?
All right.
The pink line changing to the brown line, and
Right. That was code for.
that was code
are
for
you
being
part
gay.
of the gay underground? Yeah.
So
I mean, I think the gay
maybe the
population is
Ritz-Carlton.
nostalgic for that, right? I mean, gay rights, great and all, but I think there's a lot of the gay population that are nostalgic for those days when it was all very, in the
secretive,
shadows.
and you get to act like a secret agent and
Right.
stuff
Right.
like that.
There was, I
And
guess,
but you could, I guess they could make fun of Dave Portnoy's weak hands.
We keep mentioning Dave Portnoy in the context of the English homosexual scene. I mean, why is that? I mean,
no,
British.
He's just weak hands. These are weak hands. There's floppy hands.
Oh my god!
Oh, don't you hate that? Speaking of floppy hands, like
What?
when you go to shake somebody's hand and they just like, it's like limp. And
Oh,
it's
that's
like,
terrible.
oh my god, it like makes me sick inside.
Yeah.
I really fear this person, like that there's some sort of psychopathic serial killer sort of person.
Yeah, that's really annoying when they have just like jelly hands. They just have like jelly
grinder.
It's like a pickled eel. You got me thinking about London now. They eat pickled eels and they have jelly hands.
Oh my god.
Hey, I'm Nigel. Nice to meet you. I have my jelly hand here and I'm eating a pickled eel. Oh, that's very nice, Nigel. I'll just be leaving. Bye. Yes, indeed.
Somebody's talking. Oh my god,
What?
the people are like.
Have we opened up a can of salaciousness?
Oh my god, there like so many terms going by, but I can't even. By the time I could digest it, like my brain doesn't work as fast as some spinach, right?
No, the spinach is much faster. They can get the emails out. They've already joined some email spamming service, and they're spinaching the cornfields all over Iowa right now.
They're
with
probably
Max and Stacy memes. The Iowa corn is getting Max and Stacy memes right now sent by the spinach patch in our backyard.
If anybody's being spammed by a bunch of spinach, let us know. Are you getting spammed by them? Let's talk about Scott Minard.
Oh, that guy's a real
We did it.
story.
We said this.
Yeah.
We said it either on a full dose or one of our
Totally, you
microdoses.
predicted it.
I said that he's the one that he got a lot of attention because Guggenheim's pretty big, and Scott Minard's always on CNBC and Bloomberg, and he went on there and right that day famously where Jerome Powell was about to do his press conference to manage perception, and Scott Minard was on one of these shows, I think it was Bloomberg, and he said Bitcoin's going to 400,000, and they stopped like, wait, we're supposed to cut away to Jerome Powell, but we're going to stick with you because what? So Bitcoin at that time was about 11,000 and it rocketed up to almost 42,000, right? And of course, Scott Minard, we find out Guggenheim can't buy by law until January 31st. So then he was like looking at this number going, fucking hell, I did this. And his clients and his bosses are probably like, Scott, what the heck did you do? I'm going to give you a meatball grinder right up the string.
There you go with your meatball grinder, Scott. There you go. How does that feel, buddy?
So then he spent the last 2 or 3 weeks up to the date of when he did eventually in this past few days buy almost $500 million worth of GBTC. But he was like trashing Bitcoin, saying, it's going to go back to 20,000.
Oh, it's worthless. That piece of shit.
That's the fair value.
I wouldn't buy it with your money. That's awful, that Bitcoin.
I
hate it.
I wouldn't put it in my meatball grinder.
I wouldn't put it on my meatball grinder and shove it up my swing. It's no good.
So now on the news today, he's out there on the freaking financial news saying it's going to 600,000.
Yeah, I love Bitcoin. You're going to 600,000. I thought I was resistant to the meatball grinder up my swing, but now I'm in love, and I'm on Tinder every day. Oh, that's great, Scott Minard. But this is outright manipulation, though. But this is what CNBC is great for. People go on there to talk their book.
Yeah.
They go in there and they pump and dump their stocks all day long.
Well,
that's part of the reason that gave rise to the Robin Hood, Wall Street, Bats phenomenon is that, they wanted to get a piece of that action.
Well, the audience, you must be, do your own research. That's why people say do your own research. When you watch CNBC, it's valuable. They do have interesting guests on, but you do have to be aware that they're talking their book. They have their own ideas and their own perception, unique to their individual situation. That it made sense for Scott Minerd to trash Bitcoin.
Well,
when
everybody
he was,
on CNBC is exactly like the My Pillow guy, right? The My
Oh
Pillow
my God.
guy is every single guy and gal who's a guest on CNBC is the My Pillow guy pushing their product. They're product pushers.
Hey, this is My Pillow.
There is no analysis. Jim Cramer is not an analyst. He is essentially the equivalent of the OxyClean guy, right? Who name escaped me for some reason, even though I was talking about him a lot a couple of weeks ago. It'll show up in the comments.
The chop the nuts guy?
No, that's Vince. Vince likes to chop his nuts, and he's always saying, you're going to love my nuts. That's what Vince is famous for. And then we've got the OxyClean.
Bob.
OxyClean.
Billy Mays.
Billy Mays. Hi, Billy Mays here for Chop My Nuts. And Scott Minerd's meatball wedge up his swing. And there's more. These
Dave Portnoy's weekend.
Order now and get Dave Portnoy's weekends with I'll send you my love nuts right now with OxyClean. Billy Mays here. It's amazing.
Dave Portnoy should sell some weekends.
He should. He's like Elvira. He's like Elvira out there, in the middle of the night trying to scare people with his weekends. Ooh, I'm scared. Oh, I'm scared. Elvira, Dave Portnoy. Oh.
He's like, yeah, spinach hands. This is like, these are my wilted spinach.
I got my new wig. I bought this to do Christine Lagarde, but you said it's actually probably better for Janet Yellen.
You look like Janet Yellen with this on.
It's more like Janet Yellen.
Oh my God.
Hello, Janet Yellen. And there'll never be another fantastic crisis in my lifetime. Where I ordered gin!
Jesus.
Hello? That's right, we print money. There's nothing wrong with it. I'll do it on Grindr. I print it. I went to Harvard too, I had a Grindr. Yes, Senator? No, that's not exactly how it works. You have to talk to Larry Summers about that.
Somebody says you look like Andy Warhol.
Oh, Andy Warhol. I saw Andy Warhol once in a restaurant called Texarkana.
Wasn't he having a dinner with Yoko Ono when you saw him?
He wasn't having dinner with Yoko Ono. He was having, I didn't know who he was having, but it was definitely Andy Warhol. The restaurant
you can't mistake him.
Texarkana in the Village back in the 80s, early 80s, and it was kind of cool. I mean, that was, New York was kind of a cool place back then.
Was he having a meatball grinder?
He ordered the meatball grinder, but they said no. They gave him Campbell soup instead. For some reason, he couldn't get away from it. Imagine that. And wherever he goes, people are like, I got some Campbell soup for you, Andy. It's like, oh, I'm so fucking tired of that soup shit.
Hey, we're stuck on 877 likes.
That's terrible.
Like no. We're stuck on it for that 1 second.
Oh.
Come on. Hit the like. Okay, there's 878. Campbell soup. Money printer goes spinach.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, how about Popeye the Sailor Man?
He's a known spinach lover.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it would have changed the whole dynamic of the show if the spinach were emailing people, like the audience, or I don't know. Like,
yeah, if the spinach was alive and sending Popeye emails.
Who was the girlfriend? Olive Oil?
Olive Oil was his girlfriend.
Yeah, I don't even know if kids know that show anymore.
Popeye the Sailor Man?
Smash the like. Okay, we have 1,342 watching us. How many are watching Michael Saylor?
How many do we have?
1,354.
Oh, yeah, let's check out Michael Saylor and see if we're out streaming him.
Ha ha, because we're gonna take on the king. You need a Kaiser to take on the king.
That's right. Let's see how he's doing.
That's the only way, like, to put a Kaiser on your chessboard.
Oh, they're on break right now.
Oh.
So they're only down to 1.1 stream because he's on break.
Oh. Well, because he knew we were on
Yeah,
air,
he
he
got
was told.
he has
His
weekends.
spinach emailed him and said,
He got
Max
email
and,
from his spinach.
Max and Stacy are
Yeah.
live.
Quick, cut a break. Go to break because Max and Stacy are kicking your ass on their live stream. All right. And he's like, look, spinach, I told you to buy Bitcoin last year. And what did you do? You bought Doge.
Oh my God. I'm going to have to kick you out of this room for saying Doge. Oh my God. Okay, listen.
Yeah.
Don't humiliate yourself, okay? If you get kicked out of the Orange Pill Podcast Telegram group,
Yep. What should people do?
don't go complaining on like the only place that I can't kick you out, right? I can mute you in the comments on YouTube.
Right.
I can block you on Twitter.
Right.
These people go to Apple Podcasts and they give us 1 star and then they say Stacy kicked me out of their Telegram group.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what an incel sort of.
Yeah, that's
like,
low, man.
That's like like you look like you're a spinach hand person going,
Yep.
I get a weekend and I got kicked out of the Telegram room. Hey, I have strong hands and I'm going to show you compared to Dave Portnoy's little spinach hands. I've got meatball grinder hands, right? Because I'm going to go to swanbitcoin.com/orange pill in the last few moments here and I'm going to smash buy and hopefully you have not driven the price of Bitcoin up in this past hour while we've been talking because I have it in my mind that I'm going to get 37,000 for my Bitcoin that I'm going to buy right now.
Mm-hmm.
But you better not have driven it up to like 39 or 40 while we've been recording.
That would be
because then I might get
injury to
Dave
insult.
Portnoy's spinach hands.
Well, that's terrible. I get DMs on or get tagged on Twitter all the time. Stacy booted me out of the Telegram group. Then I just block them, so they get double booted and blocked. Boot and block. That's it. You got to keep ahead of the riffraff. It's only maximalists allowed in that group, Telegram group. That's it. Maximalists only. None of the shit coinery. That's it. Well, you just bought some Bitcoin?
I just bought some. Yeah!
You smash bought?
I smash bought.
Swan has a new corporate service,
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so we need to talk about it. Look.
You can see the balloons in the corner there.
Yeah, right. Smash by Swan.
Yeah, this is going to go international. So this is Swan Private. And I hope we're allowed to talk about this. But we're going to talk about it because we have strong hands, right? So if we were Dave Portnoy with weekends, we'd be like, oh, well, we may not be able to talk about this, so we're not going to talk about it. But we have strong hands, so we're going to say that, they have a Swan Private for high net worth individuals and, internationally. So you can't access the ordinary service internationally outside the United States unless you're a high net worth individual. I think the minimum is something like $3,000 worth of Bitcoin to buy in a year that you have to buy.
Call Swan, go long. It doesn't matter. All 4 corners of the globe. Call Swan, go long. They got the VIP service wherever you are in the world. Call Swan. Call Swan right now and go long. Go long Bitcoin. Get ahead of these CEOs. They're going to be stumbling into Bitcoin at $45,000, $55,000, $65,000, $85,000 in a few months. Get ahead of them. Why not take advantage of their lackluster behavior? Get your coin now and front run these clowns and watch your net worth double, triple, quadruple. Retire before you're 35. Sit around and snort OxyClean with the Billy Mays ghost. Or talk to Vince about chopping your nuts. It's all possible. It's all within the realm of possibility if you can front run the mass corporate CEO, CTO, CFO stumbling into Bitcoin at 100,000, 200,000, 300,000. You're already sitting pretty because you got your coin right there and your triple sig, multi-sig safe because you smash bought. You smash buy now. You're all over the world. It go global. The Swan's gone global. There's no stopping Swan now. It's going global.
Right. So you go to swanbitcoin.com/orange pill for any of the newbies wanting to front run Elon Musk, because Elon Musk I think he's now again the second richest guy in the world after Jeff Bezos. And nevertheless, he is now saying like he's eyeing Bitcoin. He's looking at Bitcoin. He's probably already bought some, but I'm sure he's only just begun. MicroStrategy is still buying. They just bought another 250.
They're dollar cost averaging every month.
Yeah, they got their latest at like 33,700 average price. Mm-hmm. So they're buying up here with you as well, just as I am. Like we're all front running the big money coming in, And so I think that's a better play, because then playing these games with Wall Street bets
Mm-hmm.
against the hedge funds and stuff like that, because as we see, the system came to their rescue. That is their system. They own and operate it.
Right.
So you're on their turf and you play by their rules, and their rules are arbitrary. They make it seem they seem permanent, but they're as limp
Yep.
and changeable and floppy
Yep.
as Dave Portnoy's hands.
Yep.
So in Bitcoin, no, you're fine. Like, you could actually become the most maniacal, deranged person on earth and try to change it and try to manipulate it and try to grab it all, but you can't, because the protocol
Can't change
protects
it.
you. So,
Nope.
so therefore, because you can't change it, Bitcoin changes you, as Max Kaiser always
I
says.
say that.
I
That's
stole that
right.
line from you.
Everyone steals all my lines. You know, if you've ever heard anyone say anything intelligent about Bitcoin, I probably said it 5 years ago. That's my general rule of thumb. Because I'm not egomaniacal crazy person.
No.
I'm sound money. I'm as sound as the money of my person. That is Bitcoin. Soundness. I eat wedges. I come from Westchester, where we don't talk about grinders in the same sentence as a sandwich. That's not what we do. We get sound money. We have Bitcoin. We're ready to take on everybody, everywhere, anytime.
Right. And somebody's asking in the comments, that they said they're getting £1,000 bonus in March. And is that going to be too late? As long as there's a fiat price for Bitcoin, it's not too late. Like, you should just be amazed that you're allowed to trade fiat for Bitcoin at this stage.
Right.
And that somebody's willing to give you Bitcoin for it. Like, when I look at those numbers, especially, when Scott Minerd and Guggenheim just bought 14,000 Bitcoin. And you're like, what imbecile sold 14,000 Bitcoin? That seems absurd. Like, they're going to regret that.
Yeah, it's incredible. Like, as you say, like, you can still exchange this kind of worthless paper for Bitcoin. As long as you can still do that, you're not too late.
No.
At some point, they're not going to let this happen anymore, because all the paper will be gone and it'll just be on a Bitcoin standard, but the price will be a lot higher. But as long as you can get Bitcoin in exchange for worthless slips of paper like this, you should do it, as aggressively and as often as possible.
Of course, I mean, you have to be prepared for some of the shakeouts that do happen, the decline, the big drops. In 2017, when it was doing its parabolic run, it dropped, I think it was some 6 or 7 times, over 30%, like huge drops. So, somebody like Pierre Rochard is fine living without chairs. But are you fine living without the ability to have any food if you have to be able to plan on, say, 2 months of making sure you have enough fiat to pay your bills, to pay your food or whatever. So, or you could be a maniac. I know there are a lot of maniacs there that live on the edge, and I'm not going to stop you from it, because that's how progress happens throughout history.
I'm not going to let spinach get ahead of me on the evolutionary ladder. I'm not going to get the spinach. They're going to get richer than me, because they can buy Bitcoin and they don't care if they spoil in the fridge.
They were smash buying. They were
Right,
smash
the
buying
spinach
while I
plants
was...
are smash buying Bitcoin all over the world. I'm not going to let them get ahead of me. I'm a man, damn it. I'm not going to let a head of spinach get ahead of me and buy more Bitcoin than I am, just because it can send an email from the proto-molecule circulating in its wilted spinach veins. No, I'm not going to let that happen. I'm going to get up there and man up, cowboy up, smash by a swan, and I'm going to keep stacking the way I like it. It's the way I groove. It's the way I smooth. I like to stack. That doesn't make me a bad guy, does it? I'm a stacker. I love to stack.
Oh, shit. You know when Max starts singing, it's time to go. It's time for his nap.
I love to stack. Really?
It's time for my nap.
It's time once again.
Right.
What?
Anyway, I'm going to read some questions.
Never mind. That's a rhetorical question. I'm not really interested.
It's 2 minutes after 3. Max is getting weak hands. He's like, I can't hang on to this microdose anymore. Let's do Dave Portnoy's weak hands. There should be a Dave Portnoy weak hands dance. Like, I got weak Portnoy hands. I got weak Dave Portnoy hands. Look at my weak hands.
Yeah, I mean,
Right?
they made a dance out of that floss move
Yeah.
where you're like flossing your pubic hair or something, whatever that's about. You
I
know,
don't think it's.
what are you flossing your balls, right?
Oh, actually, no.
Isn't
It's
that what
like
it's like?
it's. They just call it the floss. It was
Yeah, but you
like a
call floss where you're flossing. If that's called
no.
the floss, where's the floss
It was
flossing? You're flossing your genitalia.
no. It's like a young boy who invented the dance. On some, he's the one that created it, and then he tried to sue for copyright because everybody was copying.
Because his head of spinach stole the idea, sent an email out there, and stole everyone's Bitcoin because it hacked the parsnips.
Right. I'm going to read some comments. Okay. How about that? So if you have anything witty to say, I bet you were. I'm going to look over at these comments
Yeah.
and it's going to be a bunch from like heads of lettuce or like spinach around the world. Going,
Really?
what kind of joke would spinach make?
It would be, it would say something like, "We can't elope, but let us go."
Somebody wants to know what your favorite cheese is. That's a good question for Max because he's a cheese connoisseur.
Yeah, I would say Comté. Yeah, it's a French cheese, Comté.
That is the king of cheeses, right? Don't
no,
they call
not necessarily. That would be not the king of French cheeses. Is that brie-like cheese that this is the most common cheese. I'll think of the name in a second. But I'd like the Comté. It's a harder cheese, but well,
okay,
it's like
so there. That's Max
8-year-old Comté.
Conte,
Big fan.
Conte. Don't
You know.
hedge. Okay.
Stilton is a good cheese, you know. But
Stilton's
it's the only thing that came out of Britain in the last 500 years that's worth anything.
Camembert is what you're
Yeah,
talking about.
Camembert. Camembert is, that's like the go-to cheese for France, which is nice. I like a good Camembert for sure. That's nice. But I like a Comté better. It's my go-to. I like Comté.
Max's Janet Yellen would be more convincing on Stacy with those glasses. Okay, give me the Janet Yellen wig.
Yeah.
I want to see. She does have glasses similar to this, doesn't she?
Yeah.
Right. Where's the front? Let me see.
I can't tell. It's like a big mop top.
It's a big.
I
It
can't
is a
tell
big
which
mop
is the
top.
front,
I think
which is the back.
I think it's like this.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah. That looks nice.
So there will never be another financial crisis during the rest of the show.
Oh, really, Janet?
Never. Actually, it's because of the disco light. It kind of looks blue. It's kind of like a blue rinse thing going on here.
Right. It's just Andy Warhol at Studio 54. That's it. That's the look you're going for. Yeah, there's Bianca Jagger riding in on her white stag. We're back.
Dave Portnoy's weekends. I got Dave Portnoy's weekends. I kind of did. I was thinking of like
I'm flossing my balls. I'm flossing my balls.
We've lost our minds, and this is the end of our career.
Does people know like this? Does Michael Saylor know that at a certain point in Bitcoin life you go insane?
You end up like this?
He's still he's pretty early on. He's only been into it now for like 2 years, right? We've been doing this for 10 years. So, does he know that it's a slippery slope to insanity? I don't know if he knows that yet. He hasn't gone Bitcoin insane. He still appears rational.
It's only 3 or 4 years from now, Michael Saylor will be live streaming about meatball grinders and flossing your butt. So I guarantee you that's what will happen. And Max and I will be somewhere having
butt floss. That reminds me of Saint-Tropez in the south of France. They wear those string bikinis on guys, and they see les fesses. They're out there on the plage avec les fesses. Oui, avec une string. In costume string dans la plage.
Somebody wants to know if we forgot to take our medication.
We are taking our medication right now in the form of the Sailor Symposium.
Right.
Streaming.
Oh, yeah. So we have 1,322. Are they back from their break yet?
Oh, yeah. Let's see what they're up to.
Somebody said butt floss and then nap time for us.
Butt floss. Okay. What do we got?
Somebody's warning us to not go full John McAfee.
Oh, my God. All right. They're back.
Okay.
He's
well,
talking.
Maybe it's time for us to exit this live stream so people can go over and join the king, MicroStrategies, Michael Saylor, over on his stream, and you know, because we don't want to be rude. We don't want
We
to be
don't?
like we don't want to be like a meatball grinder. Well, we have been going for an hour and 10 minutes,
Okay.
which is a standard microdose. You know, the original intent of these microdoses was to be about half an hour, but
Yeah.
then we couldn't stop talking.
That's fine. I'm okay with moving on to whatever we're going to move on to. I think the people have been updated sufficiently, and if you want to subscribe to My Spinach, send an email to subscribe-to-myspinach.com, and we'll be happy for our vegetables to give you. But more importantly, if you go to orangepilldailydose.com, you will get our daily newsletter 5 days a week. Orangepilldailydose.com. Go to the YouTube. YouTube.com/orange pill. Yeah.
And we're going to start offering some dance classes. I don't know if, what were those dance schools that we used to have back in the 80s? And
No, Arthur somebody.
Arthur Murray.
Arthur Murray, I believe.
So we could do our own Orange Pill
Think about that. They
podcast.
franchising dance in America, you know, men and women who went to learn like the foxtrot and the cha-cha, and then they went to social events and they did the foxtrot.
They met in person.
That was America. I mean, think about that. It was only 50 years ago that Arthur...
Oh, Brian Romilly, who we're going to get on Orange Pill soon.
Yeah.
He posted an amazing photo from a video from 1977.
Oh.
Of the operator booth. You know, so you used to have the operators.
Yeah.
Stick the, you know, connect your call to wherever you were going. And it was the last one operating in Catalina Island in California.
All right.
So it was the last one that was still by law had to operate. So it was out there.
Right. It's a great trope in old movies too, right?
Yeah.
They say, "Get me Sam Spade" on the phone. The operator's like,
and then
I'll
she
get
listens
it right
in.
There. Oh, the Maltese Falcon, is it? Mm-hmm. Then we had Lily Tomlin on Laughing.
Yeah.
One ringy dingy, two ringy dingy. Right. This is classic comedy from the 1970s.
Right. So we're going to go out on doing the Dave Portnoy We Can stance.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
All right, let's go.
Let's push that mic away. Get that mic away.
Yeah. Oh, more?
Yeah.
Okay. I couldn't push it. My hands are too weak.